Jamaica, the land of wood and water. Preserving the rich history of our island's natural bounty is centered on the core ideal of sustainability. So, with every precious drop of rainfall harvested into the beautiful canopy of the island, increasing the urgency to safeguard our water sources is everyone's responsibility. An area of land that allows for the drainage of rainwater into a common place like a pond or river is known as a watershed. Now, you may live near a river or drink the water from a bottle, but how much do you know about watersheds and their life-giving role? There are over 100 rivers making up Jamaica's watersheds. These rivers are critical resources to the ecosystem of the land, while empowering our economy. The National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA manages Jamaica's 26 watershed management units WMUs in partnership with key governmental agencies such as the Rural Agricultural Development Authority RADA, the Forestry Department, the Water Resources Authority and other partners. There is one major factor to note in the protection of watersheds, and it's the delicate balance of the communities who earn a living from these areas through agriculture.
So we try to take a bottom-up approach to watershed management. Now that will involve liaising with the communities, getting their inputs prior to going into any given watershed with any intervention. You have to do what we consider to be an assessment of the needs of the community, separate and apart from an assessment of the needs of the watershed prior to going in and doing our interventions.
This approach forms part of the integrated watershed and coastal area management model, which takes into consideration the community's views. Under the Watersheds Protection Act of 1963, watershed areas are declared and regulated to conserve the water resources, while allowing residents to gain from popular land economic activities such as farming.
You do have complementary acts that would speak to watershed management. So you have, for example, the RADA Act of 1990 that will allow for extension, the use of extension services, which translate into watershed management as the use of sustainable land management practices with the farmers.
There are 7 other pieces of legislation that support the Major Watersheds Protection Act. Finding the balance between benefiting from the resources in watersheds and preventing its degradation is continuous work by the environmental authorities. In 2015, a $3.9 million Yalas Hope Watershed Restoration Project was launched as a joint initiative between the government and the Inter-American Development Bank (IDB. The Yalas and Hope River watershed supply 40% of the drinking water in the densely populated urban parishes of Kingston and St. Andrew.
We would have trained under that project over 5,000 farmers in sustainable land management. And then we would have also did quite a number of studies. We would have done some replanting in the area. We would have replanted over 500 hectares.
A major initiative from the Yalas Hope River Restoration Project was the use of a Payment for Ecosystem Services scheme, designed to give an incentive to farmers who rely less on the watersheds.
At the end of that project, we would have, through modeling, showed that we have seen a reduction in about 8% of sediments coming down out of that watershed, and that's a conservative estimate. It goes up to 17% when you factor in the interventions that were done by our partners in these watersheds.
NEPA also established a Yalas and Hope River Watershed Management Committee to ensure that these results continue. Jamaica's international ranking as a strong and actions-based drive of environmental protection is steadily growing. A Jamaican Path from Hills to Ocean project is the latest initiative to restore 3 major watersheds across the island in the next 5 years. The $1.05 billion Jamaican dollar project is a joint partnership between the government and the European Union, executed by the Planning Institute of Jamaica in support of NEPA and RADA.
So the rapid ecological assessment is expected to inform some of the project activities that will help with the RADA-led components in identifying some areas that will be prioritized for intervention, and those priority will be for trainings for farmers and other techniques that would help with the overall watershed management. The Cassiton Botanical Garden is one particular location within one of the watershed management units that would benefit mostly from some of these activities.
Work will also be done on two wetland ecosystems, Winds Morass in Trelawney and the Mason River Protected Area on the border of St. Anne and Clarendon.
And those activities would help with the overall preservation and conservation of those two wetland areas to stem or kind of address some of the challenges we are currently facing with issues of encroachment or solid waste deposits, and also the general sensitization through the use of signage and public education.
The project will also flow into the protection of Jamaica's marine life.
So the assessment of seagrass, the health and distribution of seagrass beds within the Watersheds Marine Park and the Helsha Half Moon Bay area will also be assessed, so we can see if the activities implemented over the 5-year period would have helped with the health or the general health of the marine environment in these areas.
Don't waste water. Turn on your tap at half blast. Plant a tree. The more, the better. Do not litter. Proper waste disposal prevents your garbage from getting into our rivers and streams. Be environmentally friendly. Get involved and help protect the earth. The work to protect our watersheds aligns with Jamaica's signatory to the Paris Agreement on Climate Change to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Equivalently, our Vision 2030 national plan also prioritizes balancing sustainable use of the environment and reducing poverty. Through climate-smart steps to better use the lands and the hills of our watersheds and reduce the degradation of our coastlines, the value of protecting Jamaica's watersheds today will pay the price for securing the future of the island.